for instance, there's a lecturer who's concerned. He's a lecturer like you, but he's a lecturer in the Polytechnic, I think Kaduna, I want to get that name right, Kaduna State University, Malam Aliyu Yero, who's concerned that the young people do not have proper coaching and mentorship enough to even be allowed into the political space. Again,
sometimes I try to juggle and wonder what kind of statements are that, my brother. Because when you say young people don't have the knowledge, they don't have, we always
call it political skill.
Political skills. But then you hand over your business to a young man. When people in the banking sector, when they want to employ, they will say, if you're below 30, you can apply. But then when we come to politics, you want us to get that skill. We're not saying the older people should leave the scene. We want to work hands in hands with them. We want to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. But allow us play the game with fairness.
That's a fair game, isn't it?
Very fair. Let me comment on that last issue. Every generation thinks the younger generation is not qualified enough. It's a farce. I disagree totally with my colleague from Kaduna. The issue is, if you look at the history of this country, we have been governed by young people. The problem we have is they've stayed on too long. You know, how old was Obasanjo when he became head of state? How old was Gawan when he became head of state? He wasn't even 30 years old. You know, so the question of they learn on the job. Most of them learn on the job. It's not been an asset for us. It's been a lot of problems, but some come in, they're young and they're qualified and they do well and they learn fast. So that's really not where the issue is. You know, there's some 25-year-olds that are skilled and even more intelligent and have more integrity than somebody who's 50, 60 years old. That's not the issue for me. So it's about opportunity for fairness, fair play, democracy. That's what's most important here. The young people, it depends on the young individual. There could be young, it's like you have a class, 30 people in the class. 10 of them are very good, 2 get A's, some fail. So the fact that they're young doesn't mean that they're qualified. So qualifications, the criteria must be laid out. The other issue about funding.
Yeah.
Young people can afford 10 million. You know, it depends on how you gather your funds. Some people have family that can raise that kind of money for them. But financing in Nigerian politics is not about buying form. You have 4,000 delegates in a party. The way they do this politics, each delegate is paid $10,000. Where are you going to get that kind of money? That's what I'm saying. This is not about young person or youth. It's about people who have amassed huge amounts of money. What do you think? How much do you think it takes to run for a House of Reps?
Does it also tell of the system that we're running?
That is the corruption in the system. That is why I'm saying these are the issues that we must all face together. I'm glad that young people are getting into this mix. When you get in and you get this bill passed, you realize that there's more work to be done. Because when they now let you in, you find that you can move. And it's not because you're not qualified, it's not because you're not passionate, it's just because the system is so corroded. That's where we are.
Hamzat, how do you think that young people will be able to deal with this impediment such that when they get in there and feel the heat, they don't develop cold feet?
Well, with all of these impediments, even in the private sector, we've strived. And I believe we'll strive in political space. Again, for us, we're tired. We're tired of our current state and status. Politics has affected us badly because everything in Nigeria is centered around politics and bad governance. And for young people, so it's not a privilege, it's our right. This is our right too. Requesting that let us get on the ballot. It's our right. So sometimes the other people think that they're giving us a handout. It's not a handout. Democracy allows everyone to participate equally as voters and electorate. So we want to believe, and of course my generation is keen on saying enough is enough. We're now woke.
You know, Hamza, getting on the bandwagon will automatically translate to the younger people joining political parties. These same political parties are where you have the, as it were, the big names, the money bags, who are already in control of strategic positions in those parties. How do you think that the younger politicians, I can call you politicians now, how would you fit into this mix, considering that you don't necessarily have the money at the moment, as we speak? You are faced with a godfatherism situation where you may have to go through a process for a long time. Are you willing, tell us, to go through those gentle points before you, maybe at the age of 50 or 55, you become a governor, and at which time the laws doesn't allow you to flourish as a governor?
You know, my brother, every political party is set up to win election. That's their #1 mandate. And from the statistics of INEC, over 52% of registered voters are young people. It means that we can define Nigeria's fate. And of course, we want to identify with our peer and our generation. If a political party failed to file in a candidate that is young and that we can relate to, it's very simple. We would move ourselves to any political party that will give us that space to flourish. And it means that they would lose election. And of course, they don't want to lose election. They want to stay in power. So they would ensure that they give us that space to strive and contribute our own little quota in our young democracy.
Okay, just quick one before we go to break. What is the thinking of young people when you speak to them about not letting themselves as cannon fodder to be used as political thugs? What do they say?
Again, this movement is one movement that has unified young people, where they now feel that sense of ownership. Every young person out there is an owner of this movement. And I would give a quick example. Taraba State was the only state that voted no for the Not Too Young to Run movement. And we started a campaign where we launched the Hall of Fame and Shame, and we shamed Taraba State. All the young people from Taraba started calling their lawmaker. They had to call for an emergency sitting, recalled the vote, and they voted yes. And now it has been passed in Taraba. That is the power of young people, unifying, organizing, and mobilizing themselves. And that is what we would see from now till 2019 and even afterwards.